Welcome to my Master of Educational Technology reflection video, The Journey Matters to Me by David B. Bernheim. My video is divided into three parts. First, who am I and how did I begin? Second, I will address coursework that impacted my journey along the way. And last, how has my journey and my azimuth changed to prepare me for what's coming next? Well, I live at Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho. I'll share a little bit of the background and why I chose the MET program and the BSU EdTech department. My wife and I love everything Idaho has to offer, and this is a picture from our family from Thanksgiving 2014. I'm a family man first and foremost. I'm a husband to my wife of nearly 32 years. We have two daughters and their spouses and are blessed with a granddaughter. And I'm a U.S. Army veteran and have taught high school for over 14 years. I taught mostly theater arts, but have taught English language arts and strategies of instruction for students who learn differently. I chose the MET program because I had experimented with incorporating technology into how I taught theater. I was influenced by the Socratic method fairly early and saw a rise in device use as a means to leverage the Socratic method digitally. I chose BSU because I thought, funny, that I would need to be physically with near a brick and mortar institution. And the EdTech program at Boise State was grounded in theory, so that attracted me. And I consistently found it high in the reviews that I found online and in magazines. So I want to go over the coursework and some of my so-called productive struggles. So my journey began in EdTech 502 in Internet for Educators. This class was a shocker in that we jumped right into coding our own pages, first from templates and then completely from scratch. So I learned two words that would replay throughout my journey. And productive struggle was really the primary one. My pages looking back seem rudimentary, but I have kept them to remind me of just what I've accomplished and how far I've come. And this is a perfect example looking at my Netiquette page. It's very rudimentary, experimenting with colors. I really didn't know what I didn't know. This was another project from EdTech 502. Again, this was a project that I embraced, having recently worked at a 9 through 12 boarding school for students who learn differently. Still, it's a primitive site compared to where I am now. And at that time, I was just challenged to be able to link materials and create these links to these different apps that I had found, and to make my page just actually pass its certification processes like you see down here. Those were my big worries when I first started. But in a relatively short span of time, I went from that rudimentary Netiquette project to this same project, it's not a same project, this virtual tour for Holocaust that I created for 502 Internet for Educators later in the fall. As you can see, it's tabbed to numerous pages and takes you to, this was Knots Wheeler Struhoff. I actually took that picture. I took that one as well. So again, I was making a completely linked page, and each of these are embedded that take the viewer to other images to explain different parts about a virtual tour and different concentration camps, etc. So the project taught me that through an educator's creativity, we can expose our students to a larger world through technology. In a world of increased risk and dwindling budgets, a virtual field trip affords schools and children opportunities they might miss otherwise. I might not build many pages from scratch going forward, but I know the parts and how they integrate with one another to create stimulating instructional material. The next two courses that impacted my development were EdTech 503, Instructional Design, and EdTech 504 Theoretical Foundations. In both courses, theory met practice. In 503, I explored elements and sound principles of instructional design. In my case study project, I used the power of VoiceThread, incorporating the visual imagery power so the viewers, I could influence the viewers to see, not just hear my words, and then I could underscore certain points. In my in my 503 final project, I actually created a block of instruction identifying a shortcoming at Mountain Home Air Force Base and Mountain Home High School, that airmen with high school age dependents did not have access to adequate college filtering health. So using my coursework in 503, I actually built a wonderful project that it's a body of instruction that's actually still in use on the base today and by others who have moved away. So again, theory met practice in a meaningful way to me. In EdTech 504, Theoretical Foundations, I established theories of sound teaching and theories of emerging technology, educational technology, and how they interwove. And sometimes the language seemed obtuse for the sake of being obtuse, particularly when I was going through this project. And fortunately for me, Dr. Young helped me see the purpose of strong documented writing and why that's important, especially for me as a technology integration specialist. I reaffirmed through my research I've been a constructivist throughout my career, and I composed an annotated bibliography exploring my interest in convergence and connectivism. The final synthesis paper was an in-depth exploration into a topic related or connected to an educational theory. And as I explored convergence, the topic resonated. And as we are constantly bombarded with the next newest Swiss Army knife of technology. And so I wanted to approach that. There are apps to lock or unlock your house through your phone, and exploring connectivism just seemed relevant to me as so many people believe what they read through their connections in social media. Of course, Abe Lincoln said so, right? So I found it interesting to explore where we were, where we are, and where we can predict we're going. I can see having conversations with stakeholders at my next school, and finally through my research for the final synthesis paper, I see now that I'm really a constructivist, and I'm adding layers of connectivism on top to become a little more current. So EdTech 532, Educational Games and Simulations, started for me as a REACH course. I'm not a gamer by any means. However, I can sense that education is taking a turn to build lessons that will create intrinsic learner motivations. And gaming among high school age students is at an all-time high. So I knew that I needed that experience. Well, and Dr. Haskell built this huge ship so that we as students could use this. So I want you to see, oh, my character's kind of going in and out, but this is the character that I created for class, and we all wore uniforms. I'll show you, like the fellow in that picture, and this gives you a better look. And then you can also see the ships that are here in the hangar, and it's a pretty fascinating setup that we had for class, and that's my character there. And so the entire class was built around a game, and we had the course synchronous meeting once a week, and I was behind from the start, taking well beyond class period to even be able to get my uniform on properly. Now I'm not wearing the uniform anymore, obviously, because I'm not in the class anymore. One of the high points for the course was I actually built my first game. It's not an artifact in my report, but it was really a huge deal for me because not only did I learn game design, I learned how to build a course as a game. So for this particular assignment, just rolling with my homies was actually a theater arts unit I built as a game. And I went from being nearly an unwilling to drink the Kool-Aid type of student in Dr. Haskell's class. I mean, how could a performance art work on screen? I just had no idea. To being a devout follower and a believer. So I'm pretty impressed, and I learned a great deal through the course. So EdTech 541 and 542 were the next two classes that really, 541 and 543 that impacted with me. EdTech 541, integrating technology into the classroom. As much as it challenged me, it helped me to grow even more. EdTech 543, social network learning, save the best for last. Dr. Gersten fits perfectly as the instructor for both of these courses. She demonstrates passion integrating technology and employing social media as a tool for students and teachers. Her passions transfer to her students as it did to me. And so I built this website as part of integrating technology for theater arts in EdTech 541. And I created a number of interesting projects, including the relative advantage for theater using different apps in theater and different software. So this is something that's, I created a relevant artifact where teachers can solve theater class problems through technology. And then I also discovered a number of apps to use for teaching speech in class. So this became something that actually again became something very viable that I could use to teach in a modern theater classroom. In EdTech 543, social network learning pushed me well beyond my comfort zone as I explored webinars and Twitter feeds as professional development activities. Of the two, my most enjoyable form of professional development was Twitter. I remember my first Twitter chat. The information came so fast. If webinar information flow is a garden hose of information, Twitter reminded me of the incredible tip pressure from a fire hose and large quantities of water get swished through that tiny orifice. Through this class, I discovered TweetDeck. TweetDeck allows the user to follow many Twitter feeds at once. If the flow of information in Twitter is like being hit with the blast of a fire hose, TweetDeck is like being in the center of numerous fire trucks getting hit with all their hoses at the same time. The amount of information one can get in a short time is astounding. So I'm awfully proud from EdTech 543, the collaborative project we created called Shakespearean Twist. And I did the theater arts unit, I did a number of the other areas within this, but I was extraordinarily pleased, and even without modification, it could be used in a collaborative environment today. However, I think that I learned as much, if not more, through the peer review of another's project. This gave me an opportunity to use skills from other classes, especially 505 Evaluation for Educational Technologists. I learned a great deal as I built the peer critique, and probably as much, if anything more, I learned more through peer review and reflection. And I think all the courses put an emphasis on that through my EdTech journey. I learned much more about the material and myself as an educator looking backward while moving forward. So I've been reflecting on the high points of my journey and to my Master of Educational Technology. The journey mattered so much, this reflection attempts to tie it all together. I've reached the top of one hill, and I realize that now there's an entire mountain range in front of me as I continue to be on my journey to be a lifelong learner. The difference, I'm much better equipped now for what comes next. I know that I can articulate how and why to integrate going forward. Many independent schools still favor the Harkness table and the Socratic method, and devices in the hands of learners in the classroom mean every child gets to hold the chalk. This journey prepared me to be a more relevant educator and administrator.